So I'm not seeing any drop frames or anything. So I deleted the video from earlier, guys, which I was a total mess anyway. And I hate going back and watching that. I feel like it's not... I mean, I'm not a professional anyway, but I just feel like it's kind of inappropriate to be, like, falling apart, you know, on video. So I've got myself together now. So I just wanted to come back on and speak because I haven't been coming on much. And, you know, I was talking earlier about how creating, you know, the compilation video that I created kind of affects me. It affects me in such a way that I have to just go away from online for a few days, realizing that the things I put together, you know, as far as Dr. Stanton speaking at the TLA, you know, his press conference on his findings, Genocide Watch's findings, just it hitting you that was 10 years ago. That was in 2012. Is really unbelievable. And, you know, I said this earlier that I speak to Dr. Stanton, and, you know, he's told me many things, but I write to him a lot when I'm really frustrated, you know, and I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And he's told me many things. I mean, even the attacks that I come under, he dealt with much of the same. And this is a very well-respected man who lives in Washington, D.C., who's never been called a racist in his life. And he dealt with a lot of the same kind of attacks. Even Wikipedia slandered him. I mean, he went through hell to get the information taken down, the false information. So, you know, he told me when he came back, his pleas, you know, pretty much fell on deaf ears. And I'm still wondering where the international investigation is, you know, for a man who runs an organization like Genocide Watch and goes all over the world. Recently he's been in Syria to say the things that he said and speak with government officials on this. And for someone like him to make the claims that he made about the ANC Youth League and Julius Malema is huge. For him to say that they believed the Youth League and Malema to be behind these murders is huge. And, I mean, I guess I really don't expect anything to come of it under the Obama administration, but I expect better out of other administrations, namely the one now. I agree with you, Dee, actually, and this is something that Dr. Stanton and I had a big disagreement on, and my outrage over the situation sometimes causes me to lose all self-control when it comes to the issue, because I get outraged, you know, and I get frustrated and my temper comes out. And I kind of lost my temper at Dr. Stanton, to tell you the truth. I asked him if he was crazy, you know, and I meant no disrespect. And, I think he knew that I meant no disrespect, that I just, it's my frustration, And I asked him, do you think that it is better 10 years later than it was when you made the report? Because it's 100 times worse, And I send him everything, my greatest hope was to get him to go back and make another report. I have begged, I've done it, I've pleaded to his humanity, he's a very godly man, and I've pled to that. I've said everything I could say. I don't know what else to do, And no, I don't agree with where Genocide Watch places this on the scale. I feel that they don't fully know what is happening right now, because they've not been back to South Africa. Hey, Bianca. And so I disagreed, and I expressed my outrage over this. And it gets kind of complicated for some people because genocide is defined differently by Genocide Watch compared to the UN, compared to the United States. So that's kind of confusing for people. So myself, when I speak of genocide, I go by the UN definition because my goal is to use their own words against them, because this is the world community's definition of genocide laid out by, the world leaders. And it means nothing without enforcement. And I feel like if they laid this out, they should be held to this. And so this is what I try to do. This is what I go by. Good morning, Malcolm. But I don't know, guys. That video just, I don't know. Bruno always says that I am a master propagandist, for the way that I put the videos together. I'm no expert. I just put them together in a way to show cause and effect, to show the incitement, and then to show the effect on the majority because of the incitement by people in power, and then to show the effect on the people that it's being incited against. And I tell Bruno Touche, it's only propaganda if it's untrue. I don't try to make it any worse than it is. I just put it out there as it is. I try very hard not to put out any false information or, add on to anything because it's bad enough, And I try very hard, to do that. I make mistakes just like everyone else that's human, but if I do, I am always willing to fix it. So Dee says, we've been shamed out of calling it genocide, even by our own. It is a gradual genocide over 30 years, specifically to cast international doubt. So I 100% agree with you. And this is why I do use the word genocide. I have been told to shy away from that word. I will not, because according to every definition of genocide, this is absolutely a genocide. I can pretty much cite the UN definition of genocide word for word, and the white minority of South Africa fit into all 8 categories of this definition of genocide. Genocide does not have a time frame, nor does it specify that you cannot be a certain race for it to apply to you. So it does not say every other race except white people anywhere in this definition of genocide, nor the Geneva Convention, nor the Rome Statute. It specifically talks about land and disputes over land. It specifically speaks about perceived past deeds, from a time before, people could even be held responsible. It speaks about the demonizing of the victimized group by the perpetrators, and the perpetrators making the victims seem to be the perpetrators. Dehumanization, the level of dehumanization, rapes, denial. It speaks of so many things, and they're all happening. So I don't shy away from this word. I don't care what anyone says. I spent a long time studying, these documents and what genocide actually means. And for someone who says that this is not genocide, I urge them to go and study this as well. And if you can read all of this and tell me that this is not what's happening, there's something wrong with your outlook and your view on humanity. Hey, thanks for coming back. No, I did not get a chance to look into that. I did work on my audio issues so that you guys could hear me, and there was an issue with my audio. Your network connection has corona. No, it's probably mine. I'm showing that I have a few drop frames. It's sad that some of you guys have better internet than I do. So, anyway, I apologize for I was so emotional earlier, which is why I've kind of stayed away, guys. Many activists, the terrorism like me and you, work day and night to fight the terrorism, one word at a time. Most of us got burnout and gave up our websites to fight it. It can consume us. Yes, you're right. It can. It consumes me at times. But it's something that sometimes I don't really have control over it. It is stronger than I am. The push, the drive, whatever pushes me. I mean, if I could sit with you and list one by one all of the things that I have tried to do or that I've actually done, it really blows my mind. I don't know how I have had the energy, the strength, or the mindset to do a lot of these things. It's crazy, but I always say it's not me. I couldn't do this by myself. Couldn't do any of those things by myself, much less all of them. Thank you for understanding. I just know that some people, they are so just matter of fact, and I'm unable to do that sometimes. I'm human. I'm not used to, I don't see that where I come from. I don't face that. I don't suffer that. I don't, it's not normal. So it becomes overwhelming, even though I've looked at it every single day for years, it still is a lot to take in, guys. I mean, for people like me who don't live it every day, seeing the truth every day is very heavy. Having the knowledge of what's going on, from the political situation to the murders and farm attacks to the corruption and greed and the just everything, the police, the just evil in this world sometimes is so heavy that I feel such a responsibility to do everything I can. That it's like I feel the weight of 4.5 million people on my shoulders. Sometimes that's how I feel. You're right about seeing the photos, but for me, I have so many people that are willing to help me, that get the information out, that it's not just the photos. I've come to a point where I don't need the stories with the photos. I know the stories by heart, and I can tell them to you by heart. I know the names of the people in the crime scene photos. And I know the survivors. I know the survivors that are children who live with being gang raped and, going through being on antiviral medications and trying to live a normal life. The women who survived that, who, to me, that would be a fate worse than death. And I would not have a life. I wouldn't be alive, really. So it is horrible. The pictures are just one aspect of that horror. It being personal when you get to know people is what keeps me awake at night. Knowing their children and knowing that I sleep in safety and I don't lock my door. And that if things don't change, their children really don't have a future is the guilt that I feel in this world, is the only guilt that I feel. So White Student Transmission says many of us feel that same weight. And, I'm not happy that anyone feels that. It's actually a horrible feeling. But I am relieved to know that other people do feel this, because this lets me know that other people are fighting, very hard, and that they are not going to give up. So Malcolm says, for me, the worst thing here is the hatred towards me for no reason. Malcolm, I speak about this all the time, and, I tell people they have all of these solutions that they throw out, and this is what needs to happen, and that's what needs to happen. Well, that's all fine and good, but it's not realistic, because number one, everyone can't leave, even if they wanted to. Number two, many people will never leave, and I can't just focus on the people who want to leave. I won't leave behind people who refuse to leave their home, because they shouldn't have to. And it's easy for someone to say all these solutions, but when you live in a place where your own government, there's no solution, because they seek no solution. They don't care. They are the ones who bring this upon people. And when people hate you, no matter how you feel about them, no matter how you treat them, no matter how kind you are, no matter what you do, they just hate you. What is the solution to that? What? Yeah, listen, I think I've gone through enough attacks for the rest of my life. And I always ask myself, I was thinking about this yesterday, because there's someone else that speaks. They speak stupidly sometimes, but they speak. And, I ask myself, why is this idiot never attacked? I'm so viciously attacked, and my accounts are attacked, and people try to deplatform me, and I don't really say anything that controversial, and I don't say anything that's untrue. I don't say anything hateful. I don't try to. And the only conclusion I can come to is they're not effective. So the people that are effective, that are reaching people, they want them silenced, and they want them to shut up, and I refuse. Good morning, Olaf. Right, you're right, Dee. And I luckily I have a very supportive family, and luckily my family respects me, and they respect my mind. They know that if I feel this strongly about something, that it is very important, because it's not often that I do. So I'm very lucky there. Hey Hendrik, how are you? Thank you. Right. Dee says it's impossible for many South Africans to apply for asylum, because South Africa is still on the international list of safe countries. This is something I spoke out about a long time ago. How the hell can the Deputy Secretary of State come back and report that South Africa is safe while we have a travel warning because South Africa is not safe? And everyone knows it's not safe. That's ridiculous. Good night. Thank you. And you stay safe as well. It takes an average of 3 generations to change options. We're screwed in South Africa for many years. Malcolm, don't say that. Really, it can take only 1 generation to change everything. But it takes a lot, It takes the mothers caring enough to really teach their children that everything they're taught at school is not true, that everything they see on the TV is not true, that this is not what's best for them, but it takes a lot of effort, and many people aren't willing to put in that effort to make the next generation the change. So maybe you're right, maybe it will take longer because people just are lazy, and even in the face of this, they do not want to put in the effort to change things. Even the people who are suffering this. I mean, it's like herding cats to try to get them to agree on what color the sky is. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Right, and in the U.S. to immigrate legally here, it costs $900,000. So for a South African who the rand makeup, it takes about almost 15 rand to make up $1. That is an astronomical amount of money. I don't even know if the 1% of whites would have that kind of money. I just can't imagine. Hey DeWald, how are you? Everything stopped. Wait, do you mean the video? Oh, this thing is pissing me off. It's my internet. Damn it. It says reconnecting. I have all the necessary documents to get to Australia. I'm not leaving. I don't blame you.